Let's check out this schedule, because it's always highlighted by the Florida State game. And then within the division, of course, whoever's going to be good next year, we would assume maybe Virginia Tech. Who knows who else it could be a challenge. Of course, the division winner this year was Pitt. But and then there's another game. There's another game that makes this a little bit different this year. So let's run down the schedule, and it starts with week 1, August, an August game, August 31st. Neutral site of sorts against Florida. So that really gets things going.
Exactly. I mean, that's, just like, again, last year we played LSU over in Arlington. I went out there to see my mom for a little bit and celebrate both of our birthdays, which are in August, and then went out to that game and, got our doors blown off, and everybody turned the game off pretty much at 33-3. But that's in the past. So, yeah, this year, August the 31st, and with that Saturday being, the 31st, you have an extra week in the schedule. That's why teams have 2 bye weeks this year, because there's 15 weeks, I believe, or 14 in the regular season instead of 13. So, yeah, against Florida in Orlando, which is a de facto home game for them because Gainesville is right up the road. So I know it's a neutral site, but it's really not. It's a home game for the Gators, and Miami's going to be on the road either way for that. But, yeah. That is, a traditional rivalry game. Florida, finally decided that they weren't going to be punks anymore and avoid Miami, and decided that they were going to put us back on the schedule. Obviously, they decided, oh, hey, it has to be in our backyard to make it viable, which, hey, fine, whatever. But I'm not. We'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. So if Florida wants to play in Orlando, great. That's going to kick off our season, which means that we and them and Florida State all play each other. So we have that Florida Cup where, all the teams play. So we play Florida State first. I'm sorry, Florida first, Florida State later. Florida plays us first, and then Florida State last, and then Florida State plays us in the middle, and then Florida last. So everybody plays everybody, and obviously that's going to be a huge game. They're going to be a top 10 ranked team. Miami is not going to be a top 10 ranked team. And obviously the passions run deep because it's Miami and Florida. So, yeah, that's going to be a big marquee game, August the 31st up in Orlando to get the season started. And I, for one, am ready. And I believe it's 227 days from now that game happens. So let's get it.
Christopher points out in the chat that while it's a 26-23 series all time with Florida, the Canes have won 12 of the last 16 matchups.
Yep. Miami's been dominant. If you're a 35-year-old person, you've seen Florida beat Miami once in your lifetime. And that was the Tim Tebow year. What was that, 2009?
That was his last year. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that was Tim Tebow's senior year. Miami started Robert Marv, who was a redshirt freshman, and then rotated in Ja'Cory Harris, who was a true freshman, I believe, in that game, or sophomores in that year. But that was it. That was the one. So it's been a lopsided kind of thing for in Miami's favor over the last 35 years of that matchup. You can go back to 2000 in this. What was that? The Bourbon Street beatdown.
Sugar Bowl.
The Sugar Bowl. So we whooped them on the street, literally. And you can see, if you go back and look at the video, you can see Alex Brown with his big black eye because he caught those hands. And then, we beat them on the field. And then also the next year, the Devin Hester return year, the comeback with Brock Berlin and everything. So it has been very lopsided in Miami's favor recently, which also means that Miami has to bring it because these Gator people have been waiting for a long time to have something to talk about in a positive light over Miami. And going into that game, it seems as though I would say right now, Florida would be like a 10.5, 11.5 point favorite after today, almost 2 touchdowns. You have a top 10 team versus unranked team, a team with a, solid defense and a developing offense versus, a Miami team with a good defense and an atrocious offense from the last time that you saw. I would think it would be pretty lopsided. So for a Florida fan, you're hoping that actually bears itself to be true. But, even with other games, like the last time that they played down at it was Landshark Stadium at the time, Miami was victorious, and that was Driscoll at quarterback for Florida and things like that. So yeah, I mean it's a big game, and obviously yeah, Miami does have the series lead and everything, but it's going to come down to August 31st. So I hope that continues, and I really want to see in 227 days that continue for the Miami Hurricanes against the Florida Gators.
So I do remember that last matchup. Yeah, 21-16, week 2. That Florida team was coming off a 10-11-1 regular season. They lost to Louisville in the Sugar Bowl. Then they just collapsed that year. They went 4-8. You guys went 9-4. You played Louisville, ironically, in the Russell Athletic Bowl and lost to Teddy Bridgewater and company. Yeah, it was pretty ugly, 36-9. I remember that game as well. Someone had pointed out in the chat, so I double checked it. So Tebow's last year, yeah, was 2009. That Florida team lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game. They still finished like top 3-4 in the nation after winning the Sugar Bowl. But you guys lost to them in 2008, and that was a great Florida team. They won the national championship that year.
Okay. So yeah, it was the 2008 team. So it was the freshman year then for Harris. Yeah, because of the 2008 recruiting class from Miami Northwestern. Duh. Yeah, so we lost to them in 2008 and didn't play them in 2009, but then played them also. And they got it. Okay, yeah, so I was close with that.
I guess you can give that at least to Al Golden. At least he beat the Gators.
That was his high watermark. That was as good as it got. There was that 3-point overtime win against Nebraska where Miami was up by like 3 touchdowns and almost gave that game away. But yeah, no, that was it. That was the mountaintop for him. So I remember that the last play of that game, there was a strip sack and there was a holding penalty. So there was a runoff of time, and Al Golden, in his shirt and tie comes sprinting off the sideline. Like, yo, I'm going to shake this dude's hand and leave right now. I don't want to give them a chance to look back at it. Like, yo, let's go. But yeah, no, that was as good as it got. And, I think I wrote it either the next year, I want to say. But yeah, I said, basically the best that we could look for from Al Golden was to be competitive with Florida State, like not getting blown out. Like you lose by a touchdown, that's a win in terms of where the program was, because you're not going to get any better than that. But yeah, if you're looking for, and because Florida was ranked at the time, Al Golden did not beat a team that ended the year ranked or things like in his entire tenure. That never happened. But yeah, if you're looking at back in the rearview mirror for Al Golden's tenure in Coral Gables, that win against Florida that year is the high point. And everything else is kind of downhill from there.